Hello, everyone. Today is Monday, May the 29th. I'm Ryan Hill.
I'm John Galantis.
And you're listening to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have any questions for Dr. Shah or suggestions for new topics, send us a text to 252-582-5028, or you can email us at contact@clearviewtodayshow.com.
That's right, and you guys can help us keep the conversation going by supporting the show, sharing it online, leaving us a good review on iTunes or Spotify. We're going to leave a link in the description of this podcast so you can do just that. But Ryan, this is a very special verse of the day. I'd like if you, why don't you read it?
I would be honored. Today's verse of the day comes from John chapter 15, verse 13. Greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends.
It's extremely powerful, and I mean, there's an obvious, immediate context, which is Jesus talking about laying down his life for not only his disciples, but for his people, you know, for the Jewish people, and by extension, the entire world. And yet also it's very appropriate because today is Memorial Day.
That's right.
And that's kind of what we're talking about today.
Today, on Memorial Day, we remember and honor those who have given their life in active duty while they were serving, those who have paid the ultimate price so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we are so privileged to have here in America.
It's funny because you look around, and I know we're going to talk about this later with Dr. Shah, but you look around at the nation and all you see is just ungratefulness.
Yeah.
You see a lot of just taking for granted the freedoms that we have to go out and do the wicked things that people are doing, and the just the ungratefulness that's almost permeated our culture, the entitlement of always needing more. There's always got to be some other fight, some other power to topple. And man, that's just not at all what the men and women who don those uniforms every day and have done so throughout history have had in mind.
Well, the crazy thing is, like, there have been men and women who have laid down their lives to give you the right to be ungrateful. Right. Like the very fact that you can be ungrateful and protest and all that kind of stuff, men and women have died to protect that right.
Yeah, and it's not that protesting in itself is bad, but look at the things that you're protesting. Really take a look at the things that you're fighting for. Right. Those are not the values that this nation was found. Anyway, I know we're going to talk about this later, but it's just something that we wanted to say kind of up front. Because it is a special day and there's a somberness to it, and we want to take the time to acknowledge and be grateful for the men and women who are still serving today, but especially those on Memorial Day who have laid down their lives in the line of duty. That's
right. We're going to get Dr. Shah and talk some more about this, but if you guys have any questions or suggestions for new topics, send us a text to 252-582-5028, or you can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com. We'll be back after this.
Hey there, listeners. I'm John Galantis.
And I'm Ellie Galantis.
And we just want to take a quick second and talk to you about Dr. Shah's and Nicole's book, 30 Days to a New Beginning, daily devotions to help you move forward.
You know, this is actually the second book in the 30 Days series, and the whole point of this devotional is to help us get unstuck from the ruts of life.
You know, when it comes to running the race of life, it matters how you start, but a bad start doesn't ultimately determine how you finish the race. You can have a good finish even with a bad start, and that's where this book comes in.
No matter who you are or where you are in life, you're going to get stuck. Instead of going out and buying some gadget or some planner, like I know I've done several times.
I know that's right.
30 Days encourages you to find your fresh start in God's Word.
And life doesn't have a reset button, but our God is a God who does new things. His mercies are new every day, which means every day is a new chance for you to start over.
You can grab 30 Days to a New Beginning on Amazon.com. We're going to leave a link in the description box below, and if you already have the book, let us know what you think about it.
That's right. Send us a text, 252-582-5028. Share what God has done in your life through this devotional. Hey, maybe we'll even read your story on the air. Ellie, you ready to get back to the show?
Let's do it.
All right.
Welcome back to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have any questions or suggestions for new topics, send us a text at 252-582-5028.
That's right, and if today is your first time ever joining us here on the Clearview Today Show, we want to welcome you, let you know who's talking to you today. Dr. Abadan Shah is a PhD in New Testament textual criticism, professor at Carolina University, author, full-time pastor, and the host of today's show. You can find all of his work on his website. That's abadanshah.com.
That's right. Today's a very special day. Today, with it being Memorial Day, we want to take a minute and just kind of, recognize and honor those who have paid the ultimate price, who have sacrificed so that we can have the freedom to even sit around a table and and record a radio show like this. And, just Dr. Shah, you've said this multiple times, but, we are a nation that's founded on biblical principles. We're a nation that's founded on Judeo-Christian values. And that's reflected in, these freedoms that we oftentimes take for granted. We take for granted that we even have the opportunity to do something like this.
Yeah, Memorial Day is a special day. Now, don't confuse that with Veterans Day in November, right? Memorial Day it originally began as a day to remember those who gave their lives in the Civil War, right? And then later on, it was expanded to include all the wars in American history. And so it's a very special day. It's a somber day. I know we kind of enjoy the vacations and sales and all of that. That's fine. I'm not against that. That's part of what makes this day special. I know some people immediately say, we have commercialized it. Well, I mean, it's because it's a free country.
Right.
It's because someone paid the price that we can do those things. So don't immediately go against capitalism.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that you get to go by or go on a vacation with your family. It's all good. But underneath that is a reminder that someone died on some foreign soil or right here to make their contribution to our freedom.
Yeah.
And I take that very personally.
Certainly. And I think it's very easy for us in America. We lived very privileged lives, a lot of us do. And I didn't really take it. I kind of took it for granted until you and I went together to the Arlington National Cemetery.
Yeah, I remember that.
Seeing how far those graves go and how like you really, it's endless. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It seems endless, and you take a look at it, and it really puts into perspective each one of those as a person.
Yeah.
Like, it's beautiful to behold in a weird sort of way, but then at the same time, you start thinking like each of those small headstones is a person, a living, breathing person who lived and died,
had a real life,
Right.
had real family, loved ones, and now they're gone.
How many times have you been to the Arlington?
This once.
Just the one time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been past it, but going in there requires parking and then walking and then finding your way to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and all that. But when we went to film, this was back in, I want to say 2015?
15 or 16
15 or
was
16.
one
Yeah.
of those.
Yeah, we went to the Arlington National Cemetery. We had permits, and we were able to film. And it was simply a special show that we had on a 4th of July weekend.
I remember that.
And the patriotic songs, but also, songs of our trust and faith in God. But we filmed at different sites in D.C. and Arlington National Cemetery was one.
Yep, we filmed at the Washington Monument. We filmed outside the Jefferson Monument. And it was
Memorial.
Memorial. That's right.
And then the
Lincoln Memorial in Arlington National Cemetery. It was the first real official filming project that I was a part of here at Clearview. I know you and Nicole had gone to Israel and done things, but we wanted to do one for here at home in America, and that was the first one where we actually had to get the permit, go through the proper channels.
Yeah.
And being part of that project was eye-opening for me because, number one, it was the first real filming project I'd been part of, but then also on a personal level, seeing all these national monuments and these memorials, especially the Arlington National Cemetery, seeing it with you and talking about it and hearing, and I think it was also special for me because I was watching you who was not born here, but at your heart, you're an American.
Right.
And I think that sort of shifted my perspective. I was young at the time. I think I was 23, 24. And so taking a lot of life for granted, sitting happy with privileges that I had and not really thinking about, number one, people who weren't born here and what America represents to them and what it means to them and how I take it for granted. But then number two, seeing that cemetery and seeing just those endless rows. And when I say endless, I mean, you can't count how many graves there are.
Yeah.
And like you said, each one of them was a person who willingly made that sacrifice so that I could be here and film this project.
Yeah.
Right.
That trip helped me a great deal.
That's powerful.
And then the trip to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers was very special. Have you been there, Ryan?
I have not.
Yeah,
I
we have
not.
to. We have to
seen-
take a trip.
I've
Seriously.
seen pictures and it's, I mean, just, it's so compelling. Just the story and the mythology behind it is just,
Yeah. And the way they, the changing of the guards, we stayed there for that. And that was very special. Everybody's silent and quiet, and most times, there are people who, kids will be kids. So, but other than that, it's very silent.
Yeah.
People are aware that they're standing on, as sacred a ground as it gets.
And the guard, I mean, you've told me that the guard comes out and he'll say something as a reminder, doesn't he? He'll like this announcement, like, "Hey, we just a reminder." What is it? The phrase that he says?
I don't remember what the phrase is, but I think the understanding is if he's saying something, it's already too late. It's not like hey guys, let's remember this. There's like, signs. If the guard's speaking, you have already messed up.
It is requested that while you're here, you maintain something like that.
The atmosphere of respect.
Yeah. That's incredible. And I didn't realize, as we're talking about Memorial Day, I didn't realize the origins are all the way back to the Civil War.
Me neither.
I thought this was a more modern invention, but this is all the way like 3 years after the end of the Civil War. It was actually known as Decoration Day.
Yeah.
Because it was a time where people would go and they would decorate the graves and bring flowers to the soldiers who had, passed away from the war. The reason that it takes place in May is because that's when flowers are in bloom across the nation. So it would hit at the right time, no matter where you were living in the U.S., for you to go and pay your respects to those who had paid the ultimate price.
Right. I mean, that's what they did 2 years after, and then continued that way for some time, and until I believe it was the 1970s. Because of all these world wars and all the other wars that were happening, and people were, coming home in coffins draped in our red, white, and blue. That people realized, hey, listen, we need a day to recognize more than just those who died in the Civil War. So it was a very special day.
1971, it was declared a national
71.
holiday.
Yep.
Well, I love, like, we talk about America being founded on Judeo-Christian principles, because I think that's something that's just inherently Christian, is to remember the sacrifices that other people have made. So that's what Jesus said. He set up, what was it? It was communion, the communion episode where we were talking about that. This sacrifice that's made for us, there needs to be some somberness. There does need to be a moment of quiet reflection, not so that you can mourn or so that you can feel terrible about yourself that I get to live while they dead, but just out of gratitude and appreciation that all that I have right now was not free. Right. It was bought, and someone else paid that price in my place.
Right.
I can't think of anything more Christian than that.
Well, this concept of a memorial is, we find that all throughout the Bible. Even as far back as the Old Testament, we find people setting up different memorials and different sites of remembrance for something that God did or some miraculous thing that happened. That's a concept that we can trace way far back in our faith.
That's right. I mean, I was just looking it up. We know the time of Joshua, once they had crossed over the Jordan River. Joshua chapter 4, I believe it is. They crossed over the Jordan, and the Lord spoke to Joshua saying, "Take for yourselves 12 men from the people, 1 man from every tribe, and command them, saying, Take for yourselves 12 stones from here, out of the midst of the Jordan, from the place where the priest's feet stood firm. You shall carry them over with you and leave them in the lodging place where you lodge tonight." And then Joshua called the men to do that and take one of each on their shoulder and go across. And then in verse 6 it says, that this may be a sign among you and your children ask in time to come, saying, What do these stones mean to you? Then you shall answer them that the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. When it crossed over the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off, and these stones shall be for a memorial to the children of Israel forever. So the idea of having a memorial goes back, thousands of years. And other cultures had it too, but I'm talking about in the biblical tradition, to times like this. So you can remind yourself and remind your children. One reason we have Memorial Day is to remind our children.
That's right.
Of the foundation of this nation, the sacrifices that people made, the sense of gratefulness they need to have. These things are inculcated.
That's right.
These don't just happen automatically.
Yeah.
That's such a relatable thing in verse 6 where it says, when your children ask in time to come, saying, what do these stones mean to you? Because that's all that my 2-year-old is doing right now, is he's looking at things. What is that? What is this? What is that? And I mean, it's just like a kid to point to something like an American flag. What is that?
What is that?
What is this?
Yeah.
And that's such a great opportunity. Now, I have a 2-year-old, obviously, but in their own age, as it's appropriate to share with them, that's the perfect opportunity to share these deeper things. And I don't know, that just was really relatable to me.
One of my favorite things that we did in our student ministry and Illuminate. When we're in Sunday school, we're kind of walking through the Bible chronologically. We're going through everything from Genesis to Revelation. And when we got to the story of Joshua crossing the Jordan and setting up the memorial stones, every student, every person that was in there got a stone. Now, it wasn't this giant, like, huge obelisk thing, but it was a stone they could hold in the palm of their hand. And we took some time and wrote out things that God has done in our lives, or things that, big moments in our faith. And these stones now function as those memorial stones for our students. I'm like, this stone isn't magical. It's not anything that you can summon God's power or anything like that, but it is a visible, tangible reminder of God's faithfulness to you.
Amen.
So I told them, I was like, keep this stone on your dashboard if you drive, or keep it on your dresser, or keep it on your nightstand.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And every time that you look at it, that's a reminder of God's faithfulness to you.
Yeah. Another part in the Bible is in 1 Samuel chapter 7. This is when the Philistines were subdued because they did not come into the territory of Israel anymore. What happened was, this is in chapter 7, 1 Samuel, verse 7. It talks about how when the Philistines heard that the children of Israel had gathered together at Mizpah, the lords of the Philistines went up against Israel. And when the children of Israel heard of it, they were afraid of the Philistines. So the children of Israel said to Samuel, "Do not cease to cry out to the Lord for our God for us, that he may save us from the hand of the Philistines." And Samuel took a suckling lamb and offered it as a whole burnt offering to the Lord. Then Samuel cried out to the Lord for Israel, and the Lord answered him. Now as Samuel was offering up the burnt offering, the Philistines drew near to battle against Israel. But the Lord thundered with a loud thunder upon the Philistines that day, and so confused them that they were overcome before Israel. And the men of Israel went out of Mizpah and pursued the Philistines and drove them as far below as Bethkar. Then Samuel took a stone and set it up between Mizpah and Shen, and called its name
Ebenezer or Ebenezer.
Ebenezer. Okay. Thus far, the Lord has helped us. That's what that stone meant. I mean, that's where we have that hymn, "Here I raise my
Ebenezer." And it's funny because people sing it, and I guarantee you there are people who have lived their entire lives and have either never read the story of Samuel or they just sing, "Here I raise my Ebenezer." It's like, what is that?
Yeah, Ebenezer pops in your mind. I mean, you think of a Christmas Carol. You think of
Ebenezer
Scrooge. You think of a name. But Ebenezer, actually, I mean, it means something very different than a grumpy old man.
Well, for me, it was... there was a gentleman in our church. By the time I was coming along, I was born in 73. Growing up, he was, I would say, easily in his late 70s, maybe headed towards 80s, late 70s, I would say. And he was just an old gentleman, and kind of hunched over, and he would walk around in the church. Every time we would sing that, I was like... Is it him? Why is he in a song? Keep in mind, I was very young.
Yeah.
I was like...
Hey, kids' minds work that way, man. I remember thinking similar stuff, like, what the world?
I'm just imagining looking, "Here I raise my Ebenezer."
Yeah, you're like going, trying to lift him up a little bit.
I'm like, I don't know. He's special.
I love the young people.
Oh my word! Y'all have gone to SpongeBob now.
Oh my goodness!
But I love what Samuel says. Thus far, the Lord has helped us. It's like that song we sing, like "You've never failed me yet." There's some people who kind of object to songs like that because it's like, well, it implies that God will fail us in the future. He might. I don't think that's the case. I think it's saying just what Samuel is saying. You've brought me this far.
Right.
I have no reason to suspect that you're going to fail me in the future because you've helped me this far. You've never failed me yet. And that implies that you're not going to.
That's right.
And I love that because it's a reminder for me. That's how I always want to feel, like every morning when I wake up or any challenge that I face. Well, you know what? Hey, 31 years I've been living. The Lord has helped me this far. He's not about to fail me right
Eben ha etzer. Eben is stone. Ha is kind of like an article. Etzer is help. Or not really an article there. It's more of a Eben stone of help. So it's not like thus far the Lord has helped us. It's more like the stone of help.
Oh, I see. I got you.
Stone of the help.
The stone.
Really,
of
I mean,
help.
if there's the article, would make it stone of the help.
Yeah.
Wow. I love it.
Dr. Shaw, do you have something in your life? Maybe it's an item or a picture or even just a memory that you kind of like it draws your attention back to, like, I remember this as a moment when God was faithful to me. I remember this as a moment when I could tangibly feel the goodness and the faithfulness of God.
I have something better. I have a story from my dad, if I can share that.
Please.
Yeah.
Some of y'all have heard that story. Growing up, Dad was just dad for us. It was not, he was not trying to be like, I am a Muslim convert who surrendered my life to Jesus. We didn't see him like that. He was dad. Just like your kids see you as a dad, Gavin sees you as his dad. That's how we saw Dad. We was, don't let Dad find out, or study, or he's going to get upset, or, go help Dad. He's just got home, get his stuff. So it was just Dad. But in time, he began to realize, he had a story. He had a very powerful story that people all over the world admired. Mm-hmm. So, in time, there was a little bit of shift, but still, we were just kids. But I remember this one thing Dad would often do. It was in the summer he would do that. He would pull out this metal briefcase-looking thing. Metal. So it was not like Samsonite or, some Toomey luggage, really nice, fancy luggage. It was just a metal suitcase. Not very big. Maybe just as big as, I would say, a little. That's the size of that briefcase right there. Mm-hmm. That is probably a little bit bigger. I mean, that's how small it was. Mm-hmm. And he would bring it out, and he would sand it down, and then he would paint it, and he would put it away. There was nothing special in there, maybe some papers left in there, but he would put that away in our storage. And I remember my brother asking him one time, he said, Dad, why do you do that? Oh, he said that. He said, I just like to keep it around. He said, well, what you don't use it for anything. It's just a silly old metal box, suitcase has a handle on it and all that. He said, well, that's a reminder of where God has brought me from. Mm. Because when he left that night from his home, when his dad sort of kicked him out, and he stepped out in faith to follow God. This is real. This is not emotionalism. A lot of people have emotionalism. That's not Christianity. That's just any ordinary person gets emotional. True faith is based on hardcore propositional truths, and that's what moves you to step out and walk by faith and not by sight. It's not emotionalism.
That's true. That's true.
So when he stepped out, his dad told him Jesus was a beggar, and if you follow him, you're going to end up a beggar, all that stuff. And you won't have anything, and you're going to come begging back to me. And it's going to be up to me to decide whether or not I should help you. And my dad went out, stood against the dark night, just asked that question, said, God, why? Why would this happen to me? I just gave my life to Jesus Christ, and I'm losing my family. And the answer came back, if you can trust me beyond this life, why can't you trust me in this life?
That's right. That's right.
And so based on that truth, it's a truth that compels us. It's a truth that sets us free. He stepped out. But he took that little tiny metal briefcase and he put whatever he could in that briefcase. He couldn't take his certificates. He couldn't take his diplomas, nothing. Just a change of clothing. And he stepped out. And all that to say, for several months, I would say maybe a year or more, that was all that he had.
Wow.
Was in that metal case. And, you've heard the story of me talking about how in seminary, he didn't have a bed. He would sleep on this metal cot and all that. I mean, just so much he went through. Mm-hmm. But in time, God blessed him so much. Mm-hmm. Not that he did that so he would be blessed, but he didn't end up a beggar.
Right.
He wasn't out on the street, back at his home, begging for food and money. No, God took care of him above and beyond. Mm-hmm. And this is not just I'm pulling myself by my bootstraps and look what a person I've become. You just got to be a go-getter. You just got to be determined. You just got to be an entrepreneur. No, it was based on a faith in a person known as Jesus. Yep. Mm-hmm. And he followed God. So every year pulling down that was his time to remind himself where he came from. Mm-hmm. If any of us start forgetting where we came from, it's over for us. Mm-hmm. It's over. It's done. There is no solution for that. There is no prayer for that. There is no, great book or message that I can give. It's something you have to remind you. I have to remind myself. That's why I often talk about getting on that plane at 17 years of age and coming with nothing. $500 in my pocket. I mean, this iPad is worth $500.
Yeah.
This microphone right here, this whole setup right here is what, $10,000 more than that. This table here.
This whole room. Oh yeah, it's worth way more.
You take these Macs right here, several $1,000s. I mean, those microphones. You just add up the things in this room. How much more? It's because that one man way back there in the late 1950s decided to follow Jesus Christ and took that one little metal case. And he reminded himself every year. So memorial to me is that.
Where is that case now? Do you have it?
No, when we went back home to visit my mom and dad, I said, "Where is that case?" Oh, that? We got rid of it.
Oh,
I said,
no.
You did not.
No.
I was going to take it back with me because I could have kept it.
Oh, no.
He said, "Oh, you don't need that.
Wow.
You don't need that."
Oh,
But I do love though what you said though. He didn't follow. It wasn't that he was following his heart or he was following his feelings or just this Hollywood thing of come on, just you got to believe in yourself. It was truth. It was like I really at the end of the day don't want to do this. This isn't something that I'm truly desiring, but it's the truth, and I have to follow it.
Yeah.
Because how can I live the rest of my life following something I know is a lie?
Yeah.
Something I know is a truth. And it takes a man of integrity to do that, because a lot of us, I think now in the West, at this point in time, we're more than happy to live the rest of our lives a lie if it gives us the comfort we want.
If I can have what I want and be satisfied with it, that's okay. I'll be. And that's why billions of people out there, when people say, why don't all these people come to know Christ? It's not because they don't get the truth. They know the truth. But it's too... It's going to take me out of my comfort zone. I'm going to lose my people, my culture.
Yep.
That's what Jesus told the people who were following him. You want to be my disciple? Give it all up.
Yep.
Come follow me.
Yeah.
And you'll have treasures in heaven. And they're like, you know what? I have to go.
This is crazy, but I gotta go. I gotta split.
Scoot.
It's the human condition. There are people who are just willing to trade truth for comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It's feelings.
Yeah.
And I tell you guys, all of y'all here, don't fall for emotions. Emotions are not good. And you'll always have somebody come up and say, are you telling me God didn't make emotions? Yes, he did. But let your emotions follow truth.
That's right. What if Jesus' emotions had ruled him in Gethsemane?
Oh, my word.
Right.
Yeah. Right?
Think about that.
Exactly.
What a great example.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'd rather follow truth and then the emotions come. But memorial, how does that tie in with this? Is based on truths.
That's right.
These were truths that, hey, if God has helped us this far, he's going to help us again.
That's right.
Ebenezer.
That's right.
Stone of help.
That's right.
So good. Figure out what that is for you in your life. What is your Ebenezer? What's your stone of help? Man, so good. If you guys enjoyed today's topic or you have any questions or suggestions for new topics, send us a text to 252-582-5028, or you can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com. You can partner with us financially on that same website. Just click that donate button down there toward the bottom, and you can join with us. This isn't just a matter of you listening to us talk about all this stuff. You are part of the Clearview Today Show family. Join with us and as we seek to impact the nations with the gospel of Jesus Christ.
That's right. And we want to close out our Memorial Day episode with a quote. Dr. Shah, I think you found one earlier.
Yes. This is by James Garfield, who was a Civil War general and also was going to be the president one day. He delivered this address on Memorial Day. At the time, as we mentioned, was known as Decoration Day, and this was at the dedication of the Arlington Cemetery. And his words are very true, especially today. He said this: "I am oppressed with a sense of the impropriety of uttering words on this occasion. If silence is ever golden, it must be here beside the graves of 15,000 men whose lives were more significant than speech, and whose death was a poem, the music of which can never be sung."
Wow. That is that really is one of the most perfect things you can say, where you know words are going to fall short, but we have to give this speech. I mean, you give the weight to the silence that those soldiers deserve.
Yeah, the weight of the silence and memorial of that. Wow. We love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow on Clearview Today.